right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So we have this interesting report here from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN regarding the whole Haason Reddick situation, but it's from a different team's perspective. So Fowler goes on to say the Lions have checked in on the Haason Reddick situation per source. It could just be diligence, but Dan Campbell promised that that General Manager Brad Holmes is doing his homework, and that appears to be the case here. Now, right off the bat, I think that the Lions make a lot of sense for Haason Reddick, right? If I just put the toxicity aside, you know, all the drama, when I'm just looking at player plus team fit plus team need, I do think it makes sense from the Lions' perspective, right? Detroit is... they're a machine, right? They draft, they develop. You kind of feel like every move they make is the right move when it comes to personal decisions. And it's such a brutal blow for the Lions to lose their best defensive player, arguably the best player on that team in Aiden Hutchinson, right? It's looking like he's going to be out for the entire season. And he was having a phenomenal season, right? I mean, you want to talk about just dominant force off the edge. That's exactly what Hutchinson is. So I feel for Lions fans, right? Especially with, you know, the season kind of projections, where this team is projected to go, making a deep playoff run. I personally, before the season, I actually had the Lions winning the Super Bowl. I just feel like they're so good in the trenches. They have a quarterback that makes smart decisions with the football. They have speed on the outside. They have a physical tight end in Laporta. Obviously, St. Brown. The two-headed running back room between Gibbs and Montgomery. I mean, I just think the offense is loaded. And then on the defensive side of the football, the defensive line, I feel like, has a lot of talent there with McNeil kind of manning the middle. And then they also went out and added some corners in this past offseason. Terrion Arnold, Rakestraw, and of course Carlton Davis. I know Terrion Arnold just got hurt as well, but I still feel like the Lions are a great team, but it is a tough blow, you know, moving forward without Hutchinson. So I actually think that this does make a lot of sense here. Lions need a pass rusher. They need a veteran there at that position. There was actually a report when Hutchinson first got hurt. I think it was either later that night or the following day, which said that the Lions will be targeting a veteran defensive end to fill Hutchinson's spot. Haason Reddick checks that box. Now, if you are Detroit, you have 1,010,000 questions, right? What's going on with Reddick? CAA let him go. He's now working with Drew Rosenhaus. It does seem like Reddick wants to play football. He's not going to retire or anything. But as far as the compensation is concerned, you know, what are the Jets actually going to get? I think if the Lions have assurances from Reddick and his agent Rosenhaus that they're actually going to suit up and play, I think we could probably get a better deal than what a lot of people think. But it does feel like there has to be a lot of things that have to happen, right? Communication has got to be there. Compensation has got to be there. Reddick's willingness to play for Detroit has to be there. Detroit's plans for Reddick moving forward has to be there. So I do feel like there are a lot of hurdles here, but again, I think the groundwork is there. Now, Fowler did, of course, point out that it could just be due diligence and that the Lions could go out and trade for another defensive end potentially, or, you know, maybe even sign one. But at least there's something here, right? We're at least getting some sort of movement, some sort of action. And one thing to keep in mind, the trade deadline is quickly approaching here. But unfortunately, we do have to talk about the elephant in the room, which was Josina Anderson's tweet regarding the conditions on the Eagles and Jets trade for Reddick initially. She goes on to say, "I'm told the Eagles will get a 2026 second-round pick from the Jets if Haason Reddick is traded or gets traded to an NFC team per multiple sources. That's the other quote-unquote condition involved in the trade for Reddick to the Jets that was newly reported in the tweet below 2 weeks ago." Now, I gotta be honest, that to me is like Philly knowing the future. Howie Roseman, like, why, like, out of all the conditions that you can put on, you know, a specific trade, team success, player success, long-term deal, short-term deal, right? If an extension is reached, I mean, talk about random, right? Talk about a potential coincidence. You know, the Jets would owe the Eagles a second-round pick in the event that Reddick is traded to an NFC team. Strange stuff. So, you know, if you are the Jets here, the compensation actually has to be good enough to where you feel okay with a 2026 second round pick. We just traded a potential second round pick for Davante Adams in 25. Now we're potentially moving on from one in 2026. Again, if Reddick is moved to an NFC team, and I think another team that makes a lot of sense is Arizona. We've talked about them a lot in regard to this matter, but that's something that Douglas and the Jets organization has to be okay with. Now, if they are okay, with doing something like this, moving Reddick to Detroit, what's the compensation? What's the kickback for us? I don't want to see like a JFM style deal, a future conditional 6th round pick, and I'm moving a 3rd to a 2 because of that. No, I don't want to do that. Here's kind of the weird curveball in the situation, though, right? The situation just keeps, the Reddick saga seems like it never ends. But if Reddick just decides to show up, I don't think he will, but Reddick has the power to just show up and say, hey, I'm here, right? I'm doing a hold in. The Jets now have to start paying Reddick, which, they just acquired Davante Adams. They took on Davante Adams' full contract. Adams then goes on to restructure that deal. What will the cap situation look like if Reddick just decides to show up and all of a sudden the fines stop, and now the Jets have to start paying Reddick that $14 million or what's left of that? Now, none of that is guaranteed, so the Jets could very well move on from him and owe him nothing. But it's an interesting situation. It definitely is, and I think over the coming weeks, we're probably going to get one new report a week about it, right? It's just going to constantly be in the headlines until there's some sort of solution. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for putting up with this, Reddick's, all these Reddick updates and everything like that. I know it's annoying to some, and believe me, I am tired of talking about Haason Reddick and just how much it just has not worked out in the Jets' favor. I'm just so ready for the situation to be done and over with, whatever happens. So anyway, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.